Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to week 3 of the 6-week Substack sprint. We're at the halfway mark, and I'm really excited because tonight is something that is a topic that we all ask ourselves, which is how do more people discover our Substack? And so this is a topic near and dear to my heart because I think when we're writers, it's so easy for us to just kind of be in the writing process and just be, the artist's mind and kind of forget about the part where we have to be like, oh, wait, I actually have to share my work with the world. And this resonates particularly for me this week because for those of you who were on the 12-hour live stream that I did yesterday for the book launch, my new book, Write for Money and Power, distribution is a lot on my mind. And thank you for everybody who attended because we hit #1 on Amazon for bestsellers, and it's been awesome. So thank you so much for showing up for the book. Thank you for leaving reviews on Amazon and Goodreads. And I'm just really grateful for your support there. And so when we talk about growth specifically to Substack, we're talking about marketing and advertising. We're talking about how do we market our work. And I like to think about this, and I know we've been talking a lot, even yesterday with all of the guests on the live stream. A lot of those were best-selling authors, top Substackers, people with hundreds and thousands of paid subscribers on Substack. And a lot of them were talking about how they often still deal with this problem of wanting to share their work and gain and grow their Substack, but they don't want to have this feeling of selling out or feeling like they're selling or feeling salesy and not feeling like they're being too pushy. And so this is something that all of our guests kind of talked about, the different mindset reframes, the different things that they were struggling with when it came to how do I share my work in a way that doesn't feel salesy. And some of the people's responses, some of these like top best-selling Substackers, their responses to this question was around this idea of I am sharing this work to help solve a problem. I'm sharing my Substack because I know my ideal reader will get a lot of value out of it. So that is the reframe that I think helps a lot. And so there's like a few different things that came out of those live streams that I want to talk about, especially as it comes for growth. And so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get into today's class. Um, and I think that one of the things that is feeling really intimidating when it comes to growth on Substack is there's so much we can do. Because when we're talking about a growth engine, we're talking about, as I mentioned, the endless field that is marketing. And these systems that I have found have really helped me hone in from, oh, I can do anything when it comes to marketing my Substack. I can do anything when it comes to trying to find growth, but what are the things that are actually effective? And there's so many different ways that you can hone in on this. I'm going to share with you the systems that I have found that have helped the most with growing on Substack, getting organic traffic from Substack, playing nice with Substack's algorithm so they give you people. And that is like the #1 thing that is also the perk of Substack and why Substack as a platform is great because in part, they just want to send you people who will then pay for your publication and support you and become your fans because Substack only makes money when you do. And because those incentives are aligned, they have tools to help you grow. And there's a lot of ways that you can also play nice with those to get that help. So we're going to dive in as normal. Feel free to leave questions in the Q&A box and I'll leave time at the end for questions, but we will just dive in. So I wanted to kind of tap into some of the advice shared on the 12-hour live stream that I did yesterday and all of these live stream interviews that I did with tons of incredible Substack authors, best-selling authors, all of these lovely writers. When they were talking about growth, there were a few things that I wanted to highlight as it pertains to you and your Substack. So the conversation with Jari Rumer from Write Build Scale, I thought was really interesting. He advised new writers to test ideas and their niche on Substack notes before even committing to a publication topic or set of topics. I thought this was really interesting if you're a brand new writer, if you're a total beginner, and you're like, hey, I think I want to write about either this or maybe this. So if you're non-committal and you're like, I have like 5 different topics, I want to figure out which one. Which one really resonates with me? And I know there's some of you who are a part of the 6 week Substack sprint where you're locked in, you know the topics that you're excited about, you know what you are most interested in, and you've maybe had feedback from other people that have told you, hey, you should write about this. And so I don't think that this advice applies to you, but if you're brand new and you have like three, four, or five different topics or different angles on a topic that you want to test, I thought that this was really interesting. So the way that he advised to do this was to basically post for like 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, I think he'd said, on Substack Notes, just kind of like different angles at the topic. And I think that probably is going to be best for you to test both short text and long text. And one thing that I've seen on Substack Notes is that they do boost Substack Notes without photos, but there are occasional photos that do go viral. But I'm seeing like 2 to 3 text posts to every one photo post. So if you find that your Substack Notes aren't performing well and you're doing a lot of photo notes or notes with video, then try to swap those out with text because Substack Notes is a reader platform because we're all writers. So that's something that I think is for some of you who are brand new, want to test some ideas, even for writers who, or you're trying to test your next piece or you want to kind of get some feedback, I think this can be helpful. One caveat here is that if you feel like you're getting zero traction on Substack Notes, you don't have anybody who's kind of in your orbit, this could be, if you're not seeing any engagement at all, maybe the algorithm still isn't pushing you enough. Maybe you're too new. And there are some kind of things here that could be headwinds that may not actually be indicative of your wider audience. So I think this is a really good idea, but it's going to depend on how Substack Notes reacts to you because I do find the algorithm to occasionally be finicky. But we're actually going to talk about that today. So we'll get into that. And then the thing that I heard from everybody yesterday on the 12-hour book launch live stream was to be true to yourself. And we heard this from Michael Simmons, who runs a top 30 business publication, Blockbuster Blueprint. He's gotten millions of views on his publications that he's written for on Forbes and Fortune and everywhere. And he has a ton of readers on his Substack. And he was talking about, with AI becoming the kind of the blanketing the market for the bland kind of like obvious types of writing, like people come to Substack to subscribe to people, and your unique voice, your hot takes, your deep dives are going to be unique to you. And so I heard this in some way from everybody differently, which I thought was really interesting. And then one thing, there's kind of two approaches to niches in every guest that we saw yesterday. So Friday Night Reads, run by Jules, she had just such a great Substack conversation about how she has over 60,000 members across social media and her Substack on her Gilmore Girls book club. And it is very lovely, so cozy, and very on brand for her niche community. And she has become a Substack bestseller through making sure that she is serving her community well, down to the color palette she chose. She talked about how she picked fall colors to represent the Gilmore Girl kind of cozy aesthetic because Gilmore Girls fans love these fall colors. And she even took iconography from the show and put it into her Substack. So this is the kind of thing where, if you have a very narrow niche and you're like, oh, I don't know if my niche has enough readers, just remember there is a cozy book club just about Gilmore Girls and the books from Gilmore Girls. So not even fully about the show, just about the books featured in the show. And apparently there's like a list of 500 that is curated by Jules, and it's a lovely community. So you should definitely check it out if you like Gilmore Girls. So if you have a really niche subject, thinking about, okay, well, what is the total addressable market? And are there 1,000, 2,000, maybe 10,000 people that would pay for this? Usually the answer will be yes. And I know because I'm doing an interview series on Guest Stack for Make Writing Your Job, where I'm interviewing people who run best-selling knitting Substacks and people who are doing all sorts of really niche kind of topics, people who run astrology Substacks, and they're best-selling publications on the platform, which means they have either 100 plus or 1,000 plus paid subscribers. And so the publications might seem niche, but you don't need a ton of subscribers. You just need a very passionate subscriber base or offering something unique to a subscriber base that sees your work as valuable. And then on the other end, You'll notice that when I was talking to different Substackers, I was talking to a podcaster who was like an OG podcaster, Roxy, where she runs the Roxanne Show, which is a top 1% podcast, and she's done like 500 episodes. She talks about how if she was to niche down when she started, then she wouldn't be where she is today. So for some people, niching down was not the right move for them. And so it's thinking about like, okay, what am I excited about? And that was something that almost every guest talked about is returning to this idea of what I'm excited about. Claire Venus talked about that as well. And so these pieces, I think, are important pieces of growth in psychology. But the thing that everybody talked about when it comes to strategy is well do you understand your audience? Because if you truly understand your audience, then you will know how to give them exactly what they want and have them be passionate fans of yours. So understanding your ideal audience is really key. And your ideal audience can just be people like you. They can be fans of the same TV show. They can be even we had a comedian and a TV critic, Ashley Ray, on yesterday on the live stream who had, knew her audience like her perspective on TV and listened to them when they were like, hey, we want you to watch all of Vanderpump Rules and write your hot take. And so she doesn't have a niche because like she has on her branded podcast, she talks about Pluribus and then she's watching Vanderpump Rules and then she's writing about Below Deck and all of these different things. And so but she knows what her audience wants to hear the nuance from her criticism. And she says that the audience doesn't want to hear the same take that have been heard elsewhere. They want to hear something unique to her. And because she's a comedian, a lot of her commentary starts as a joke. So it's also understanding what is unique about you and how can you pair that with what you know your audience wants. And the audience might also tell you something with what they want that maybe you need is not exactly right, but you need to find something else that kind of addresses the note, if you will. So today, the core transformation is to help you with funnel design, which is just simply the reader journey. How do people find you and how do they go from just like a stranger, a ship in the night, passing your Substack to becoming a loyal subscriber?